Morjesta pöytään! Suomalaista heavyä, Finnish heavy metal time with Satan's Fall and the second album Destination Destruction. It's kind of giving me very 80s, 1980s feeling, and same goes for the cover. To be honest, if I would have to guess based on the cover only without knowing the band and all that stuff, I would say, yeah, this Master of the Universe-like approach is probably more death metal. I don't know, but something with these castles and weird structures, not to mention the evil eye, hello Sauron, this is giving me the kind of a creepy death metal meets fantasy world kind of stuff. And then you have also the looming hand. Oh, he's coming! Definitely 1998's vibe, and that goes for the whole packaging. Look at these colors, look at these images. I think they're fantastic. I think whoever did the graphics and layout did fantastic work. This is, in my opinion, kind of a timeless, like, let's go back to the old school ways with the graphics and all. And mind you, this has a double booklet, so we'll take them out. We'll go through them quickly before we start digesting the music, or should I say dissecting the music. Here comes a booklet number 1, and I don't even know at this point what to expect from this one, but I'm guessing this must be a poster. Whatever I usually do with the reviews is that I just listen to the music first, and then I'm gonna blindly unbox the rest of the stuff, because then you will see my initial honest reactions rather than me just explaining how it goes. And voila, we have this nice looking poster here. As you can see, the evil eye is right there, and the structures and the other side of the stuff nicely featuring the band. 5 guys. In the middle, of course, the vocalist as it should be, and I think the main songwriter, at least the original guitar player here, Tommy, say hello to Tommy, is here. The rest of the guys are a little bit, I think there's like newer guys, most of the band. We'll check them on Metal Archive's site, because I don't really remember, honestly. I just remember that some of the guys have changed along the way. And this is Satan's Fall with the second album. Now, those who have been following the channel more than a year or two might already remember that I actually went through these guys' debut album when it came out. And in my opinion, that's pretty good of an album of heavy metal, old school ways. That doesn't mean that these guys are doing nothing but old school heavy metal. For example, this Tommy guy here, I've known him, I don't know how many years, let's say 15. I remember, like, for example, him doing actually goddamn fucking good black metal in the early days or before this band, but sometimes people go different ways. And here we are, him playing heavy metal. Like I said, I promised you to show this members list, and I remember there was like one other guy who was also original member from 2015 when the band was founded, and it was this bass player Joni Petander, and the rest of the guys more or less new ones, drums being the latest one. So band has had its previous members, which are here listed, having history with various other bands and all that stuff, but that's beyond the scope of this review video anyway. So 2 albums now in, and some singles and earlier EP demos, what have you. Kind of a classic take, classic typical ways to build a career, and I think it's the right one. Start with the demos, hone the basic shit together, then start preparing for our album and all that stuff. This album runs for almost 43 minutes, and it's pretty interesting because out of 10 tracks there are 2 covers. This is pretty ballsy, but if it would be fucking boring if they would be covering just some basic heavy metal songs. I mean, these guys knew enough not to, you know, go for the ways like, hey, let's cover some Merciful Fate, you know, where the band's name is taken from, or, you know, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, whoever, and just like sounding the lamer version of that. Instead, they decided to do Marienhof, the German TV show, which even I watched when I was like a teenager. Kind of a, you know, typical soap opera drama, but German ways. And then Power Rangers, if you know, remember the animation series. I was kind of already too old when it came out, but Yeah, I remember this catchy song somehow, and these guys have done a good version of that the theme song. So there's a Go Go Power Rangers, and this is the Baserian. I don't know how to pronounce German, so a little bit off. But 8 tracks on top of that being the original material, and this is what Satan's Fall 2023 is all about. Now, first, let's tackle the good things. And the good thing is, this is very, very solid part 2 for those who are already experienced with the first one. So what you know to expect is some good sounding heavy metal the traditional way. And there are no major flaws when it comes to songwriting, singing, guitars, drums. You go the list all over and you say, yep, no major flaws. Everything is on check. And that's the good thing on this album. I mean, the band knows what they're doing and how to make it sound good and all that stuff. But there are more than one minor flaws. These are not big ones, but more like bumps on the road. And of course, these are bound to, divide people into different camps when it comes to opinions. Now, I'm saying, for example, I'm using this one song, and it sings all about, the killing floor. I was figuring out actually what's the song name, because I was thinking it must be the killing floor. Now I don't even remember it. I mean, I just cannot put my finger on it, but I'm saying it has kind of a catchy chorus part. And I'm like thinking this still sounds wrong. I'm saying it in a way that it rubs me the wrong way. Not it's like technically wrong or anything like that. So what I'm trying to say here, what I'm trying to express is that sometimes you do things like by the book, by the rules and all that stuff. You see like, okay, this is kind of a catchy pattern. You are supposed to do this and that here, whether it's about putting guitar leads, guitar solos, or certain kind of drums and certain kind of let's go sing along mode and all that stuff with an album. And it's going to click. Like certain part of the audience is really going to love that song and all that stuff. And I'm like, nope. I mean, it's kind of like, okay, it's much like happening with southern pop songs. You understand why they're really catchy, why they're being made the way they are. And you're like, nope, not working for me. And that song is an example. Like sometimes you just are rubbed the wrong way, even though technically speaking, you should be like nodding your head and like in agreement. Like, yeah, more songs like this. So I'm saying sometimes it's all about how you do certain like vocal parts, whether it's chorus part or whatever, and you're like, it's not working as intended. And this album is like full of those, like ups and downs. Like there are parts where you're like really like, hey, now we're getting into the heavy metal motion and I'm really digging into it. And sometimes you're like, I wish they had done it in a different way. I'm using the vocalist as a good example. I mean, I like his style. He's a powerful performer, and I know he has good sound, and I know he can sing. But sometimes I'm like thinking, if only he would go more in the clean section. I'm talking about traditional heavy metal thing. Whether we're talking about Judas Priest or, I don't know, Iron Maiden or Black Sabbath and all that stuff. I mean, let it go! And sometimes you're looking for this kind of a raspy take. Not exactly thrash metal take, but you know what I'm talking about. And too often the vocalist goes like too between, like not enough raspy, not enough clean, like almost like trying to figure out which way to go. And I'm like, you are holding the gas pedal too much along. Like it's like if you're like stuck between the gear shifting, you're like, I don't know which way to go for more, or I don't know, shift down, and you're like kind of getting into this kind of a jumpy motion with the car, and that kind of rubs me the wrong way. Like I said, don't get me wrong, I'm not a hater. I know the vocalist, I know he can handle his voice, and I know he has a powerful performing style, like I said. But sometimes, like, if I feel he's like holding back, as if there's a lack of confidence, or maybe the other guys in the band are like, don't do it, while he should. And that is like one of the problems with me on this album. I think the vocal performance should be more ballsy. And there's no other way I can really describe it, apart from saying like, I think it's just holding back. So while it's kind of a good, at some points I think more would have been better. And it should be go both ways. More raspiness, more cleanliness, but not in the middle. Some same things or similar things are also apply with the guitar riffs. Sometimes they're more like quite okay, but they would need the magical element X, something that really like, this is the riff. This is kind of a guitar lead I want to hear more and more and more and more. Like Billy Idol would say in the midnight hour. You know how it goes. So I'm saying this is a tiny bit of a disappointment. I would hope they would make the second album sound bigger. Flaw in any part of the album. But these kind of small things are the ones that separate listen to this one than say latest Iron Maiden or two, or Metallica for that matter. But if I'm supposed to praise this album, I would be lying. And I know, some people are gonna be disappointed, like, how come you didn't like it more than that? And what do you mean with this and that and blah blah blah? You can only go as far to explain what you feel about an album and what you feel about certain parts, how they should have been done and whatever. And then it gets exhausting and nobody wants to hear it anymore, at least without a few beers and so on. So I'm not going to waste your time more than that. I'm saying, if you like heavy metal, you should totally give Satan's Fall second album, Destination Destruction, a chance. But, on the other hand, being critical and all that shit, I would say this is not as good as the first one. The difference is not a big one, but it's worth mentioned and mentioning. And this is how I have to say about it, because this is how I feel. So it's quite a decent of an album. Good one, not so much, but I'm sure the guys will fix certain elements by the album number 3 whenever it's coming out. Anyway, if you get the chance to see this band live, go to. It's worth your time most likely. And still, some really good cover art, some really nice packaging. So kudos to the label or whoever finalized everything here. This looks as 1980s as it should be, and that's also the good thing that the band really sounds like that, even if modern sound and whatever. So, heavy metal time with Satan's Fall. What are you waiting for? Check out the links provided in the description box, start listening, and make up your own mind whether this is good or not for your wallet. Thanks for your time. Bye bye.